Hello all to my fantastic Rover subscribers. This episode is going to be purely on rust protection, and this is a video that I've been working towards for a very long time, and I had it in mind that this video was going to come after the MOT. So as I say, the car has had a pass. We know sort of the little things that need to be done in the long term, but she drives perfectly. The white smoke, I will tell you, at the end of the last video, I could barely see anything. So clearly it just needed a good old-fashioned blast. The car was dying out for that. I mean, 2.5 years of doing 22 miles in 2.5 years is pretty, yeah. So today I'm going to show you a new product that has come onto the market probably in the last few years, unless it's been around longer than that. It is Dynax UC. It is ultra clear stuff, so I'm going to show you that in a second. And other news, my booster pack, my cheap booster pack off eBay, it's an unbranded one that I bought 4 years ago, and it has actually done me some really good service, this thing, and it was a cheap way of getting into a portable way of jump starting a petrol car, low powered petrol car, without the use of jump leads or having to borrow jump leads off other people. It has died, completely died. I think in the Peugeot 205 video I tried to charge it up, nothing, absolutely nothing, completely dead. So I've got a new one on the way, but I need to get rid of this first in the usual way. Walk of shame, 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 shame. We turn to this absolute beauty over here. As you can see, I've taken the sill panels off, the arch liners have come off, all the wheels are off, it's all on jack stands, and you can see truly what I've achieved. I'm just going to give you a minute to just savour that. Now, on this side, I had to just do a little bit of going over on this side, just on this patch here. Now, this patch is the only area of the car that has got any surface corrosion to it. I didn't do a good enough job. I've now gone back to bare metal. That is zinc primered. I've just got to put a bit of silver paint over the top of that, but that's all good. Now, the rust bubbling that we've got here on this panel is the only exterior surface rust on any panel. And I've looked on the other side and there's absolutely nothing. So clearly the corrosion has not happened from the inside, which is usually the case. Corrosion usually starts on the inside and pushes out, but this is not the case. This might be just a defect from the factory. In terms of brakes, this is the one causing a bit of a problem. I mean, I can barely turn that, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, there's some pitting to the disc as well. I mean, ideally the discs aren't brilliant, but they're not the worst, actually, to be honest with you. And I don't really want to be swapping these genuine discs well, I can't afford genuine ones. I'd have to go aftermarket. And the truth is, genuine discs, keep them until you need to replace them, because once they're gone, unless you want to buy genuine, which is very expensive, aftermarket ones do not last as long. They rust really quickly, especially along the vents here. I would advise not. So I'm going to try and keep the disc if at all possible. The pads look absolutely fine. I don't think they've been damaged. But what I'm going to try and do is take the caliper off and see if I can put my foot on the pedal very gently to push the piston out slightly, and then see if I can wind it back in. If I can't, it'll be 2 new front calipers, but I'm going to try and unseize it. If not, you know, it's another 70 quid. Now, considering I've only driven the car about one journey, it's not dirty whatsoever. I've just gone over the sills with just a bit of a wet wipe. Now, one of the first things I'm going to be doing is injecting the actual this wax, this underseal wax, through these holes into the sill. Going to go through all the holes, and there are flexible tubes that come with the kit. So I'll show you that now, actually. amber. Okay, they've been around for many years. It is the Dynex UC Clear Film Anti-Corrosion Wax. I mean, I'll show you what it says on the back. It provides a low film thickness see-through protective shield. The firm waxite film is rich in unique metal-seeking corrosion inhibitors that stop existing and prevents new corrosion. That's really interesting to know. It can be applied to bare metal or painted surfaces, in fact anywhere where a discrete and powerful inhibitor is needed. It is completely safe on the vast majority of paint coatings and is ideal where dark coloured waxes or undersill would detract from the painted finish of the bodywork or underside. That is what I want. That is exactly what I need for this application. I mean, with the Focus, it's been black waxed. You can get away with that. It's a black car. You don't really need this stuff for that unless you've previously done it like me. I may be using some of this on the suspension components of the Mark 1 soon, but it needs a wash. It's disgusting, as you can see. It's been in daily use quite consistently recently. And on the bottom bit, it usually says it provides high levels of winter protection, used on lower body panels, chassis floors, sills, jacking points, chrome suspension, fixings, wheel arch lips, alloy wheels. Plus it's for protecting motorcycle alloys, boats, mowers, machine tools. I've got to be honest with you, it's free from silicon as well, and it contains multi-metal corrosion inhibitors. Wow. Okay, you see, that's what you're paying for. That's quite interesting. It's used on boats. That must mean it's a really, really good product, because boats, water and boats are basically, you know, they go together like apple crumble and custard. There's one thing on my mind before I start. I thought I was buying a car that I could repair and rebuild to a certain point, i.e. not get carried away with painting anything, keeping the budget low, repairing things not necessarily by replacement but by repairing what I have and making do. And I think I wanted it to be slightly different than what I'd done previously with my Mark 1 Focus because of the cost financially of owning more than one car. I'm pretty sure most people can relate to that who've had more than one car. But the truth is, this is the wrong car. This is too nice, and I discovered that pretty early on. I remember, I think in episode 3 or 4, I said I wouldn't be doing any painting, none of that rubbish. And I've ended up painting the underside. I've ended up making it look nice. And the truth is, I discovered very, very early on that this is a car worthy of that sort of attention. In fact, I'd go as far as to say, and I know there are probably Ford people watching this, my Ford subscribers, this is a better car than the Mark 1 in terms of its condition. The bodywork is just sublime. There's only that little patch there that I'm dealing with. There's nothing. There's just nothing to talk about on this car. It must have been garaged. It spent its life on a farm, and it looked it in places. It was dirty, but how has it not rotted through? I do not know. Unbelievable. Right, let's get cracking. Other side as well. Keep changing direction. Be generous, because these are actually the most important areas to actually concentrate on. Get in, tick it at the end of the sills, but you want it lovely. In fact, there's a little hole just under here, just shoot it in. Use these little holes here. That's it. Right, let's get in. Use the normal nozzle. Just a clear film will do. The only thing you can't get it on is brake components. You can put it on exhausts as well, perfectly safe. Tanks, fuel filler pipes. Just over there on the pillar pipe. Ooh. Smells quite nice, this as well. And remember to concentrate on these sort of areas. Just below the boot well. I put a generous coating on the boot floor because it's such a vast piece of metal. Try and get it above the exhaust. I mean, it's ideal if the exhaust is actually dropped, but just squirt it in. Yes, eye protection, Andrew, because I'm getting dirt in there. I'm not quite so good with my left hand, but try and get the tank. Now, the aerosol can is starting to run out. Ideally, I should have done the actual seal cavities last, because when the can's in this sort of position, this angle, and it's getting empty, you can you're trying to get the dregs out, and it's difficult. Let's go over the tank straps. I just go around the side on the chassis legs. Concentrate on these points just here. Back of the train arms, back of the suspension legs. You can do it on the heat shields if you want, as they do rust as well. Just a light smearing, that's all that's required. Springs, just try not to get it on the disc, so I'm just avoiding the disc and the backing plates a little bit. Jesus, right, that is done. That is 2 full cans. I've got a little bit left in there just for going over a bit later, but it has taken me pretty much 2 cans on this car. However, I have actually gone and done my usual thing. I mean, the Focus is a bit dirty, but underneath it's actually not that dirty, and I actually have gone and done the Dynax on the rear suspension. I don't need to do it on the bodywork, just the suspension components, a little bit on the exhaust, which will help the exhaust to preserve itself a little bit more. Just a little bit on the pipes up there. Yeah, I thought it was worth going over just to keep this really, really nice. My hands are covered in this wax. I can feel it on my face. It's gone everywhere. It's nice smelling stuff actually. It applies really easily. For £42 I have covered all the arches, all of the underside, subframes, suspension, bits and pieces here like brake lines, the sort of stuff, everything practically underneath the car has been sprayed, and it's covered in this nice little wax, a clear wax that will hopefully, one, do its job and keep the corrosion at bay and keep any grime and dirt from attacking the actual bodywork itself. And the same with the Focus. The Focus, I've just gone over the suspension. I've done the back end and I've done the front subframe with the suspension arms at the front. The bodywork is protected by wax oil, so that's all good. Right, so I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to pop those back on, put the wheel arch liners back on, get the wheels back on, and then we're going to proceed with a couple of little jobs. This has been a source of disgust since I bought the car. I mean, it's just literally a sticker that you just, it's like there's a lacquer like protective coating over it, but the red always goes on these. It's just completely faded. Now I'm going to have to pick it out really carefully from the corner, because otherwise I don't want to damage the surround, and it's only held in with glue, so I might just have to butcher it in the middle to get it out. I'll see what I can do. Right, this is turning into be a bit of a pain. What I've had to do, unfortunately, I've made 2 indentations in the chrome surround, but to be honest with you, that is going to happen. There's just no way I can get anything else in other than a pick. And you start levering at a joint. Yeah, I put a bit of paper there to protect it, but to be honest with you, it wasn't enough. But anyway, I'm not going to make any more marks now, because what I've managed to do is just break off this like fake chrome surround and actually get into the gluey bit. And once I've started levering in with like a screwdriver and a few other bits, hopefully it will start coming out. But if you want to replace your badge, this is just the only way you can go about it. This glue is really strong. This feels so wrong on so many levels, but it's the only way of getting in at that glue. I'm in, and it's moving just a little bit, so just keep on easing. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to move the screwdriver across, so stabbing it in, and then keep moving it across, and it should just layer this way. It's still very tight, so what I'm going to do is use a bit of brake cleaner, just releasing, just to get a bit of brake cleaner in there, and that will release the bond of that glue a little bit. Should now I've laid down. Oh god, it's so strong, this glue. Out, bugger you. I say, so it's got to do 2 locating pins. I'm going to clear all that excess glue off. Oh god, no wonder. Yeah, god, it's still tacky. Interestingly, this grille assembly was made in Italy. Yeah, the Italians know about build quality. Let's take the packet. Wow, look at that. Look at that. Unbelievable. Lovely. Perfect. And that cost £10. Absolute bargain. Right, so I've taken the tape off, and we've just cleaned that up a little bit. Don't worry about the scratches, that was me trying to jag it off. I've just cleaned all around the edges and just place it in. It should just, that's it, just gently pat it down, and that's that. Jesus, that's such an improvement. Just give it a good pat down so it's nice and even. That tape is really high quality adhesive double-sided tape, and when you remove all the glue and contaminants from the surface you're gluing it to, it's almost unbreakable in some cases. And I say I had to just slightly damage the surround to get the old one off. I'm afraid I don't think you can avoid that. The truth is, getting a pick in there is probably the best tool you can use. You could try a small screwdriver like the one I've just used, but you're not going to get that incisive. You have to basically dig a hole in the side. Oh, that's amazing. Question is, does the old one go in the bin of shame? No. There are some things I will not get rid of. That is going in the history folder in this plastic bag as a reminder of how far this car has come. What I will do is I will give this car a protective wax. So I'll probably just use a couple of detailing products I could use, but I'll just use a generic wax just to cover this, because there is a lacquer that has actually just come off. That's the rest. Well, unless it's like no, it's not actually a lacquer, it's like a, maybe it is, it's definitely some sort of plastic screening, but it could do with waxing. Not every model that I've seen suffers from this issue. Some of them are a little bit warm that I've seen, but on other Rover 45s and Rover 25s and 75s at this age, but they're nowhere near as worn as this, and I think it is just down to cleaning and waxing and protecting, and I think that would last a lot longer. Job 3, we have the arrival of a second-hand blank fog light trim, which is not faded. I've just given it a rubber and vinyl clean, and it's come up so well indeed. It will replace the one that is here and completely and utterly faded. Trust me, the camera actually makes it look better than what it is. Look at the difference. Now, from what I can see, they're just general tags. That one looks as if it's snapped, unless maybe not, maybe it hasn't, but they've all got little tags on the ends. That one looks like it's snapped. Yeah, typical stuff that really doesn't cling very well. So it looks like I've got to push that one out from the back side. The problem is, because I can't, because the washer bottle is actually in the way, I can't actually get to, oh, there we go, I have got to it. Just about. It's only because I've got thin arms. You'd actually struggle to get to this. Well, I think I can just, I don't care if it snaps. There we go, done. Oh, and it has. I don't care. Right, I'm going to give this a bit of a clean up because it could do with it. Just take advantage. See, these are the little areas that I tend to clean when I go about these sort of jobs. Yeah, that's, I wonder if that's a completely different parts number. Maybe not, it looks just faded. Yeah, so I'm going to just give this a bit of a wet wipe and put the new one on. I wonder if there's a load of grime coming from behind the fog light surrounds. It just gets stuck. It just sits here, gets stuck, and then every time you pressure wash it, it all sort of floods out from the bottom. It's all clean. I have sprayed a bit of Dynax in there because they've got like a chassis rail that goes up to this point where the crash bar is. And, I think we just pop it in gently. If I just line it up, yeah. Done. Shame, 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 shame. Now, if you thought the badge on the grille was difficult to get off without making any damage, well, I did make some damage, but only minor. This is not the area of the car you want to end up scratching. So what I propose is damage limitation. Do not go from the top side because you're going to see it. Go from the underside. If there's a minute scratch, you're not going to see it. Only you are going to know it's there. Other people won't know it's there. If I just go like that, gently. Oh my god, it's gone. Oh, I didn't cause any damage there. Just, oh, it's gone in. Okay. Try not to use the screwdriver as much as possible, even though this bit is covered up. Come on. Now you might find there's lacquer peel under this. Yeah. Okay. Go. Pull. Yeah. There's lacquer peel damage. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean this up, but you can clearly see where it's gone. There's some damage to the paint, but I'm just going to go over and just eliminate all of this, possibly with a gentle wet sand and a bit of a polish up. I would say that's a significant difference. Now these, I believe, are not genuine ones. These are aftermarket ones, but they're virtually identical. To be honest with you, there isn't actually as much chrome on these. It's like a sort of more solid paint. But you know what? Instead of the chrome bits, I quite like that. I'm gonna fit that back on. I had to do this off camera because I had to get it positioned exactly correctly, and that's gone on really nice. It's held on with 3M tape, which is probably the best tape to use, so that's fab. Just apply a bit of pressure. I have cleaned the surface underneath. Actually, I didn't wet sand it because I didn't think it necessary. I just gave it one of the most lightest polish ups ever after removing any of the excess dirt. Hopefully that will stay on. It's a very light badge, so it's not as if yeah, it's not quite embedded on that corner as much, but you know what, there's enough on it to make it stick, and that's what you want. Just gotta be wary. There you go. That's really nice. Done. I quite like that in comparison. Yeah, it doesn't have the chrome surround, the chrome finish around the outside. You know what? That's practically identical. That really does finish it off nicely. Right, I am going to end this episode here. I'm just going to refit. I'm going to refit the front wheels, put the side trims on, put the arch liners back on. My next job is to look at that brake caliper and see if I can unseize it by getting it to move a little bit. I've got a way of doing that, but I don't know if it will work, but it's worth trying. But I just thought I'd give you one last look at this beautiful arch, because it's never going to look as tidy as this ever again. This car is going to be used. It's absolutely stunning, and it now is fully protected, properly badged. There's only a couple of things that I've got on the list. Absolutely stunning. Obviously long term, in terms of beautification, and I call it beautification, I've got to wet sand more of the car, and we're going to do that in another episode. Now these alloys are not great. This is one of the better ones, but the truth is these tires are not bad, but I'm going to get the alloys refurbished at a later date with the new alloy caps. These are all going to be changed because I've got exactly the same issue as all the badges on the car. They just fade. But I'm going to leave this here, and I will see you very soon in another episode. I can't wait to have this fully finished. It's just stunning, absolutely stunning. In fact, before I go, I'll tell you now, the only panel on the car really that I'm not happy with, we've got these indentations in both these doors, but that's just minor. I'm going to have a word with my bodywork man, a quote, to see if he can respray this, because that's the only panel on the car that I'm not happy with. I mean, the micro blistering is just a little bit annoying. There's no paint missing, and it will do for now. It will do perfectly for now, but I'm going to get a quote for this, because this is the only thing that I'm really not happy with, which is just incredible for an 18-year-old car. I've hit an absolute gem. See you soon, guys. Take care.